From the Caribbean News Desk, the morning edition. Good morning. I'm Kendol Morgan.
And I'm Denis Chabrol with the latest from across the Caribbean.
Tropical storm Ernesto is expected to be upgraded to a hurricane today after drenching several parts of the northeastern Caribbean yesterday. The British and U.S. Virgin Islands are among territories under flash flood warnings as they remain on Ernesto's path. British Virgin Islands Governor Daniel Plus, who chairs the Disaster Management Operations Group, has announced a shutdown of the territory today.
We've been discussing and ensuring that we have necessary preparations in place for Tropical Storm Ernesto. We expect severe rainfall and strong winds through into Wednesday. As a consequence of that, I've taken the decision that all government offices will be closed Wednesday, and obviously we'll keep the situation under review thereafter. I'd encourage everyone across the Virgin Islands to ensure that they have made adequate preparations for the weather that lies ahead. Please secure your property and please ensure that you and your loved ones stay safe.
Montserrat's Disaster Management Coordination Agency reported that Ernesto's heavy and prolonged rainfall triggered lahars or mudflows, making the three crossings of the Belém Valley River impassable for some time yesterday. Ernesto is also on track to hit Puerto Rico before turning to the north and possibly impacting Bermuda by the weekend.
Trinidad and Tobago's Minister of Sport says Caribbean nations that did not perform well at the just concluded Paris Olympics need to diagnose what went wrong. Ms. Shamfa Kajur-Lewis says this needs to be a broad-based approach.
While we are having this conversation today, Jamaica is having the same conversation because they're saying it's the lowest medal count that they have gotten over the years. So there's need for introspection, there's need for partnership, there's need also for national governing bodies to come to the table and discuss coach accountability, long-term athlete development, and working hand in hand, and I would say most importantly, accountability.
In terms of Trinidad and Tobago's performance, she believes that the contingent did to their best. However, she notes that elite athletes are not made in an Olympic year, but require time, effort, and resources from government, the private sector, and the national governing bodies.
The Caribbean Broadcasting Union, CBU, is urging policymakers to support television stations to shift from analog to digital transmission systems. CBU President Claire Grant, in her address to the opening of her organization's 55th annual general meeting in Belize, advised countries in the region not to wait until they are fully prepared before they move towards digital transmission.
We're encouraging policymakers to act in a timely manner to ensure that the correct enabling environment is in place to help domestic media services make the shift with a feasible business model in place. And this is very important. It's not something to be embarked on lightly. There are a lot of pieces that have to come together. We actually can't wait for all the pieces to come together before we make the move. But while we are moving ahead, it is important that all of the players involved make the correct decisions to enable the industry so that it can empower and enable the people.
Guyana says more British businesses are interested in setting up their manufacturing operations there to take advantage of CARICOM free trade rules. The head of the Guyana Office for Investment is Dr. Peter Ramsroop.
Distribution of products tend to be the start of investments. So instead of me trading a product to Guyana, what we're telling the trader, why not build it in Guyana? And then that's what we're finding, that the eyes are opening up now that, wait a minute, instead of me sending this distribution product into Guyana, I can produce it now in Guyana, and not only for Guyana, but for the wider region. And the CARICOM trade agreements, as we know, we have access to multiple trade agreements across the globe. And I now see the eyes opening up of companies in Great Britain of why they should be producing those products in Guyana versus just shipping them and distributing them.
In Barbados, the Employment Rights Tribunal has thrown out a case in which a transgender woman claims she was unfairly dismissed by the legal firm with which she worked. The tribunal said the woman, Alexa Huffman, had no standing to bring a complaint based on gender discrimination because the laws of Barbados are silent on transgender identity. The tribunal urged the country's parliament to consider amending the laws to reflect an evolving Barbadian society, a changing worldview, and to meet the state's international obligations. This has been the morning edition from the Caribbean News Desk. You may contact us by phone or WhatsApp at +592 700 9293. Thanks for listening.